Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am Loving Life Freely here on YouTube, and today is a special video, one that I've had a few people requesting that I do, something that I've been wanting to do and have mentioned doing, and I'm finally getting around to getting some details down. I did take some time putting this together just because there's a lot of aspects to this topic, and I wanted to share with you some things that I've learned, things that I don't do anymore, things that I do. And being kind of fairly new to reselling still myself, about a year and a half into it, there are aspects of this I haven't done yet, but I've done a lot of research on and chose not to do yet. So this is about liquidation, buying online. So if this is of interest to you, please do feel free to stick around. There's a lot of things about this that I want to share. And as always, if you have feedback on this, please, after watching the video, if you have thoughts on anything I mentioned, or any tips or feedback that you have learned also yourself through this that I don't mention, or feedback on things that I've talked about, as always, please feel free to leave comments down in the chat so we can all learn from your experiences, your thoughts, as well as if I have made a mistake in anything, please feel free to share with me your thoughts on something. Let's dive in. Okay, guys, I'm excited to share this, you guys. There's not really a lot of videos on YouTube about reselling and buying liquidation. I only know of one, and I watched her video a while ago. She did a series on liquidation, and it was a great series. She has actually purchased liquidation. She used to be a whatnot reseller. She's now mainly a Poshmark reseller. And so I watched her videos because I was trying to do research myself to figure out if this is a direction I wanted to go in right now. And I actually have chosen not to purchase pallets myself yet. And I have two reasons why, and then we'll dive into what I've learned about this, you guys. I have two reasons why, and some of you may be like, well, you've been reselling for a while. You do list quite a bit daily. I list 10 items new daily. I also do auctions. So why am I not buying pallets yet? My two reasons are, one, pallets are expensive, and my business is a cash-based business. I do not use credit at all. I don't use credit cards at all for my business. So I don't go into debt to purchase pallets and then resell the items and pay the cards off each month like some people do. If that works for you, that's great. That's not my particular business model. And second, what I've been doing as far as sourcing, even for my auctions, has been working really well for me. And you can actually buy bigger boxes that aren't quite pallets, or maybe just do like one of those big, I'm trying to remember what they call it when it's just a pallet and not multiple pallets, where you can do that, where you can get like a few hundred pieces versus just like maybe 50 or 80 pieces. So I'm working in that direction towards doing that with my business model, but that's why I have not done that. And the research that I did and what I've experienced and learned through that research and what I've seen other people do, I'm going to share with you. So I have not actually purchased a pallet myself yet, but that was my reasons why. Although if you want to do pallets, you can get really good cogs on pallets depending on the pallet you buy. And that is another thing we're going to talk about too. So I have multiple things here that I want to share with you. The first thing that I want to do is talk about companies that you can buy from first, because I don't know about y'all, but there's a lot of companies out there that you can source from as far as liquidation and sourcing online. Some of them are pallet options. Some of them are just box options, right? So let's talk about this. Now, some of these are very common to everybody. And some of these are ones that I found that I don't know if other people know about, that I have purchased from in the past. Still research on them once in a while, but I haven't purchased from them for a while just because it doesn't fit my criteria of what I'm selling right now. So let's talk about it. Obviously, Helpsy Source is one of them. Everybody knows Helpsy Source. I think a lot of people have bought from Helpsy Source. If you haven't yet, they are a great company to buy from. You just have to do your due diligence, obviously based on some of the information we're going to be talking about, to figure out if it works for you. And let me say this in advance here for all of this information. A lot of what we're going to be talking about, guys, has to be based on your business model, not as somebody else's and what worked for them, but your business model. So please keep that in mind when we're talking about liquidation, that any information that you take from this and pursue for your own thing, make sure it fits your business model specifically, okay? All right. Boutique by the Box is another great company, y'all. A great company, great product. If I've had an issue with them, I have let them know. Speaking of which, I actually have to reach out to them about something. But they've always been great. They either credit me or they'll send you out a different piece. Great connection with them, great prices, and good product. Very good product through those guys. Quick Lots. This has been a topic of conversation lately in the community. You can get really good boxes through Quick Lots, and you can get some not so good boxes through Quick Lots. I've been very fortunate that I've gotten good boxes, and even if my boxes had pieces that were lower end items, my higher end items pretty much kind of just about paid for the boxes, if not almost all the box. I had a couple boxes that are already paid for. I do have a couple boxes that I'm still kind of working on. One box is probably like 3/4 of the way through. And one box, my very first box for them was just kind of like one of those boxes I'm not even following anymore right now as far as seeing how it did, because it was just a bad buy, okay? That does happen, guys. It just does happen. Sometimes you just have to take a loss. As we all know, ThreadUp. ThreadUp is another great source. Now, ThreadUp is one of those companies where it really depends on what you're doing with the box, because ThreadUp can work really well for some people depending on what they're doing with the pieces in their business model, and for others, depending on what they're doing with the pieces, it doesn't work for their business model. So some people like Helpsy Source like to bash ThreadUp, but again, it really depends on what you're doing with the items, what your cog is, and your business model, what you're doing with it, whether it's buy, sell, trade, selling yourself, trading it in, giving it away. I mean, it just really depends. Also depends if you're doing auctions or selling yourself, brands, what kind of brands you're looking for. There's so many variables here, so many variables. So ThreadUp can also be a really good source for inventory. B-Stock. B-Stock, I think, is one that a lot of people are doing a go-to with for inventory for doing live sales. Especially like on Whatnot, and I don't know if people on Poshmark are using B-Stock. I do know people on Whatnot are using B-Stock because I've heard about people talking about certain brands, and when I go on to B-Stock, I'm looking at the types of boxes and pallets they're getting, and it's talking about the types of companies and brands that they're getting, so I know that that's where they're getting them from. So B-Stock is another company. If I have a screenshot of the company or their logo, I will include them over here so you guys can see them. So if you're seeing some photos here, that's what that's for. So that if you don't know this company, you know kind of what to look for and how to find them. Okay. Via Trading. I don't know how many people actually know of Via Trading. I found out about Via Trading through my husband and through another gal that I used to watch on YouTube all the time. She has a great business. I just don't follow her much anymore because she mostly does big pallets of home goods, and I don't sell that much home goods. So she has great products. She has a great YouTube channel. It just doesn't benefit me where I'm at, and so I don't watch her as much. But I actually found out about Via Trading through her, and it is a good company to get good product through. You can also get good kids' clothes through Via Trading for a good price. Amazon. We all know Amazon has their boxes. You can get good pieces. You can also get really good hard goods through Amazon boxes. Liquidation.com is another one I think people are not familiar with. That is one that my husband actually introduced me to when we first started doing this. I have bought from them. Haven't recently just because they haven't fitted the criteria of what I'm looking for. But they do have good pieces and pretty good cogs for what you're looking for. And they do sell boxes. I don't know if they sell so much in pallets, but they do sell boxes. And it is an auction site where you go on and you bid. And if you're the only person bidding on it, you can actually get prices pretty good. New Without Tags Liquidation. This is another one that's been talked with conversation a little bit in the reselling community. They have good pieces. But for me, their cog has been a bit higher than what I'm willing to pay. On top of the fact they don't provide free shipping. It's typically at least $40 for a box to ship, unless you book multiple boxes in a cart, and then they sometimes you can get your shipping kind of combined, which I did one time. But yeah, other people have bought from them. They do sell pallets too, and they're a good company. So that's just a handful of some of the companies. Oh, Macy's. Macy's Liquidation is another place. One of the gals that I follow, she doesn't have a YouTube channel, but I go on her lives frequently on Poshmark and on Whatnot. She does mainly Macy's Liquidation. And also New Without Tags, Liquidation. They do a lot of Macy's and Nordstrom's. Nordstrom's is another place, you guys. And some of these companies just pick up their stuff. And you can actually go on to Macy's and just buy specifically from Macy's, or you can go on to some of these other companies and they sell Macy's and Nordstrom Liquidation. Okay, now that we've talked about some of the companies, I'm curious if any of those companies were new to you. Please feel free to comment down in the chat and let me know if any of those companies were new to you, if you learned new companies. And if you know of companies that I didn't mention or ways of sourcing that I didn't mention, comment down below also. Speaking of which, talking about sourcing, let's talk about a couple other places sourcing options. Facebook Marketplace. You can find local pallets like Hard Good Pallets, Amazon Pallets, Target Pallets, places like that on Facebook Marketplace too. If you go into your local Facebook Marketplace, type in your area, sometimes you can find local pallets to buy through Facebook Marketplace in your local area. They'll list different pallets that have come and you can go pick them up. So that's another source of looking at pallets and liquidation. Obviously, just Facebook is a great place to find things too. Box stores. Now, box stores, Dan and I actually did this one time several months ago. They're actually called box stores. Some of them could be local to you, and ours is in Sioux Falls, where you go in and they start out when they first bring their inventory in. They start out at a certain price range. I think some of them are mostly between $6 and $8 the first day, and then each day that passes, they discount it by $1, and you can go in and they literally have pallets full, kind of like a box, kind of like a big bin, full of all kinds of goods, and they have clothing, bigger goods, and they have a certain price bracket on Thursday, which is their day that they bring things in, and it's typically about $6 a piece for a hard good. It's all new in box, again, clothing, all new, brought in, and you can go in and source that way. The next day they take it down to like $5, the next day it's like $4, and then $3, and then they have like $1 Monday, clearing everything out, and then Tuesday, Wednesday they bring in a whole new batch of stuff. So that's another thing. It's called box stores. So look up box, I'm not sure how you would look that up, but you can look up like box something, box liquidation, box stores, and it'll actually say like in a box, like, you know, this way, in a like a box. If they do that. If I have a chance to actually look up our local one, I'll do a screenshot here so you can see what it kind of looks like. They do have good things. We've sold some of the things we picked up through them too. And again, depending on what your cog is, they have toys, all kinds of home goods, clothing, like I said, a lot of stuff. So that's another great place to find things inexpensively. Another place is buying somebody, if somebody is no longer reselling or somebody literally buys bulk in things. I know some YouTubers, they do this where they buy, if they get connections with people through Instagram, they go out and they source these massive pallets and then they turn around and they flip it and resell it to resellers at a really great price. That is another option if you find connections like that through Instagram especially. Some people who buy pallets, they'll turn around, and if they're local to you, you can go to where they source, whether it's flea markets or just their own place, their own warehouse. You can go in and pick up pieces for a really good price, great brands and things like that. So, and that's typically through Instagram, or sometimes they go through like maybe Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace. Just kind of do some research on that. But there are people who buy pallets and then just turn around and sell it to resellers really cheap. I think Instagram is probably one of your main places you're going to find that. So maybe put up a post on Instagram saying, hey, if you buy pallets and you resell to, resellers at a good cost, please reach out to me. I'm interested. Something like that. Okay? All right. So now let's talk about the other aspects of buying liquidation. I do have quite a list. So if you need to go grab a cup of coffee or a tea or a little snack, or just while you're doing your listings, this is a great opportunity just to hang tight and watch this. A lot of this information really helped me. And these are some things that kind of mixed in the do's and don'ts all together. So just, take it as it goes. And again, if some of these may be common sense. So if it's something you already know, I think that's amazing. Sometimes it's a common sense thing, but when you're new to reselling, you may not know that common sense thing. Sometimes you don't know until you learn it. And some of these things are common sense, but I didn't know until somebody told me and taught me, right? Whether it was through YouTube video or just through Instagram, through, chats in YouTube videos, wherever I learned it from, my own research. You don't know unless you learn it, right? So some of this is common sense, but until you know it, you don't know it. And some of this is just stuff that I've learned or I've picked up from what other people have done, or research that I've done for myself to figure out if I was going to pursue it, like I said, like with pallets or whatnot. Okay. This is one of these things that I learned for myself kind of by mistake. Don't buy inventory right after watching a YouTube video. You know how we watch these YouTube videos, somebody's talking about a pallet they picked up. It's got good brands like, say, Good American, Ted Baker, Prana, Show Me Your Moo, all these really free people, all these really great brands. And somebody talks about it on a YouTube unboxing video. You're all excited because, oh my gosh, that's brand. I could sell that too. Oh, what a great cog. And oh my gosh, I'm going to go on there before they sell out, because they click this link, I can get this discount. And you jump on and you buy that piece, or buy that box, buy the pallet, whatever it is. I've done that without doing my due diligence research for my business model. Now, I haven't regretted it, but it may not have been the best buy for me and for what I do in my business. I've done that once, maybe twice, and I'm really, really careful with that now. And again, that box may have worked for that person, but it may not have worked for me. And you get all excited, you see the brand, you really want to be able to sell some good pieces, and you go into that store or you go into that company and you buy it, and maybe it didn't work for you as well because you didn't do due diligence on the COG, the cost of goods, those pieces that could be in that box, how many are selling, what's the sell-through rate, all those things and all those aspects that you should research for yourself for your own business model. So I would recommend, don't watch a video, turn around and run over, and if they have it live in for sale, don't just go buy it right away. Take the time to do research. And I know you're saying, wait, don't say that, because what if they run out of stock? You know what? If they run out of stock, it's okay. Because oftentimes those brands do come back. And honestly, I would rather not have bought that box and it run out of stock and done my research, and okay, maybe that box could work for me next time. If it comes back in stock, I'll go on there. I'll hit the email notification to have them notify me, because most of these companies do that. They'll notify you if it comes back in stock. Maybe when it comes back in stock, I'll double check comps again. If it still works for my business model, I'll buy it then. But if I find out after doing research, if that box does sell it, but I found out after doing research on that box may not have been a good one for my particular business model, and I bought the box just in haste, then I'm stuck with a box that may not have worked as well for me as another box could have. So I'd rather miss out on the sale on that box the first time, do my research, make sure it's good for me, for what worked for me, and then go in there and click the email notification to get notified. Again, if it's like a few months later, run my comps again right away, and then I'll go buy the box. That's just the way I work. I know some people would say, but you're missing out on a great deal. And I get that, because some of these are 20, 30% off, 50% off. You can get a good deal. Again, just do research for yourself. For me, I don't like going and buying boxes in haste when I find them on YouTube or other people talking about it, because mistakes can happen when you go and just buy suddenly like that and not know for sure what's going to work for you. That's all I'm saying. Okay. Research your items. And what I'm going to say in this, we all know to research our items, right? But what I've learned to do for me, and I'm hoping that this will work and be a benefit for you, is, let me say, for example, Ted Baker. Boutique by the Box did these Ted Baker boxes. They were beautiful pieces. Yes, I did go on and buy one. I bought the women's because I had gotten Ted Baker in a previous Quick Lots box, and men's blazers don't sell as well for me. And so I wanted to make sure that I didn't get a bunch of men's blazers, because that has happened to me when I've gotten men's boxes. So I thought if I get a women's box, even if I got a blazer, hopefully I'd get some dresses, some tops, and things like that I know would sell. Well, in that box, it was a great box. But in that box, I got some really simple tank tops, like little striped tank tops. Now, the cost on that box was $20 a piece. My thing is, when I go and do research on a box, I think about the lowest possible selling item that could be in that box, like a tank top or a skirt or a simple shirt, something that you know on the cog would be the lowest possible selling price bracket for pieces that could come in that box. Research what the cog is. And if it's possible you could get 2 or 3 of those pieces in that box, and it's a 5 or 10 piece box, you need to make sure that the lowest possible selling item in that box, if that tank only sells for $30, $30 or $35, and your cog is $20, and you get 2 or 3 of those tanks in that box, and that's like a third of your box, and you're paying high up in these pieces, that box may not be beneficial for your personal business model compared to if you got like some really nice pieces that could sell for like $50 or $60, at least double your money, right? You kind of get my point? You always want to research the lowest possible selling price on a piece in a box to make sure if you do get a duplicate of those pieces and you have to sell those pieces to make up for your box, that you're still going to make the money back on your box with those lowest selling pieces. So that's what I've learned to do. Always check the lowest possible sale pieces in that box and make sure that that cog is going to work if you get multiples of those pieces. I've seen people who have it, and when they're doing an unboxing, they'll get like a t-shirt or a tank top, just like, you know, something that's really lower end, and then they'll get like a nice jacket and a pair of pants, and those are those high-end pieces. But once they even sold all those items in that box, they barely made their money back because a lot of the items in the quantity of items that they got were lower end items. So I think you get my point. Okay. Be willing to walk away from a sale, guys. It's plain and simple. If you see something on sale and you're running a cog on it and you're like, oh my gosh, this is such a great brand. This could really do good for me, even if it's on sale. But you know what? You're running the comp. You're running the cogs, and maybe this just will not work for you. It's like when you're in the store. If you see something that you really like, but say it's a dress or a really nice piece, even if it's a high-end brand, and they just got it way too high, listed at Goodwill, do you still buy it? No, you leave it in the store, right? It's the same thing when you're buying these boxes. If you see that the cog is just way too high, even if it's on sale, even if it's Good American or Free People or Ted Baker, Anthropology, all these really high-end brands that people go crazy on, Lululemon. If it's just too high in the box, even if it's on sale, be willing to walk away and don't spend money on something you know you probably should be spending money on. Okay? All right. Keep an eye out for sale on these boxes. Not all these boxes sell out really fast. We all know that. Not all brands sell out really fast. If you have somebody who's done a YouTube video and they're a really prominent person on Instagram and YouTube, they do a YouTube video and like, oh my gosh, everybody goes on to that website and buys those boxes. They sell out quickly. Or it's just like one of those boxes like Good American, Prana, Show Me Your Moo, all those things like that. They're very popular brands, and once the word gets out that those boxes are there, they do sell out quickly. But if it's a different brand and they don't sell out as quickly as some of those boxes and the item is on sale, keep an eye on it. You know, if you see something that's kind of fresh in and you really like the items, but maybe even if it is just like 20% off, keep an eye on the site, keep an eye on whether or not they're going on sale. And if they go on sale, snatch it up, right? Okay, this is the tip for Helpsy sorts, y'all. Now, I didn't know this until I was putting things in my cart, keeping an eye on it, because when I don't always buy stuff right away. When I'm on liquidation sites, I do this funny thing where I put something in a cart, like where there's one box or 2 or 3 boxes. I'll put it in the cart and I'll think about it for a while. I don't always buy my items right away. I'll put it in the cart and I'll think about it for a while. It may be a couple days, it may be a week, and sometimes even if it's a week, the box is just gone. You know what? I'm okay with that. I don't feel like I lost anything. Because if I was thinking about it, it was possible that may not have been good for me at that time, depending on the pieces, right? I was really doing some thinking. I've noticed, though, with Helpsy Source that when you do that, if it's in there for maybe a day or two and it's still sitting in your cart, they'll actually send you a text notification. Hey, we noticed you left something in your cart. Here's 10% off. Did you forget about it? And they'll send you a 10% off code for those items that are sitting in your box, in the cart. So I don't know if you guys know that they do this, but that's a way to put something in your cart. Maybe that night or the next day, they'll send you a 10% code in your texting. Take that 10% code and take 10% off on it. Just kind of a little tip that I found. Okay. just sharing the goods. Okay. Buying items from companies other sellers are buying when it's saturated. Now, this happened with Prana. This happened with Ted Baker. It's probably happened with Good American too. I don't know about y'all, but when Prana came out, I love Prana. And Prana is really popular. I went on after watching a video. This is one of those moments where I told you that I bought a box that I may not should have. And I bought that box, and they were great pieces, and I was so excited that I finally had new with Tags Prana. Problem was that everybody else did the same thing on Boutique by the Box. Same with Ted Baker. Everybody else went on and bought Ted Baker on Boutique by the Box. And it got so saturated on Poshmark. Not so much on eBay, but Poshmark. Everybody was listing the same thing. Everybody had the same pieces. And it became saturated. I really, and it ended up making the selling comps lower too, because there were so many people buying it. And now a lot of people are sitting on those pieces because, yes, people like them, but there's been so many people selling them now. I still have a lot of pieces. I've sold a couple, but I still have a lot of pieces from those boxes to sell. So I'm going to be more mindful of that in the future. I actually had the opportunity to buy some Good American jeans because a reseller did a video on it. And I could have gone on and bought Good American. They were like $20 or $25 a piece. I actually decided after what I experienced with Prana and Ted Baker not to go buy the box. The COG was high for me. I don't like going that high in a COG. I know. They could sell for like $80, and I get that. But for me to sit on something like that and take up money like that in a box, I'm not always willing to do that with my business model because I don't use credit to purchase boxes. So that was one that I just walked away from, and I was okay with that. Then later, I went in and bought a 5-piece teaspoon box. I was okay with that one because it was only $100 instead of like $300 or $400 or $200 or $300. And I've already been selling those pieces. So just be mindful of that. Just because it's a great box, be mindful. A lot of other people are buying those boxes, and I know that there was a comment about that on a reseller chat I did a few weeks ago where we were talking about the saturation of these brands going through like Boutique by the Box. I think that's the main company that's happened with because they do those types of boxes. Okay, so I'm not saying don't buy the boxes. I'm just saying be mindful of saturation of those pieces when everybody else is going on and buying them. Buying pallets. Make note. Shipping costs could increase your COG more than you want it to. And I have been finding that out because I've been researching a lot for kids' clothes. I would like to provide new with tags kids pieces as well as my pre-owned pieces that come in my boxes. I would like to buy some bulk new with tags for the holiday season coming around the corner and just to be able to provide more with new with tags pieces. Well, the companies that I've been looking at, some of them you do have to pay shipping on the bigger boxes because you're buying more quantity in some of these companies. And when you're paying $200 or $300 extra in shipping cost on a pallet, even if your cost of goods is like $250 or $300, or who knows what it might be, that's just a general possibility. You have to accommodate another $1 or $2 for shipping costs in that COG when they're going to charge you $200 or $300. And I know this because I actually decided to click on shipping costs because I was really happy with my COG for this box, this pallet that I was looking at. I decided to click on the shipping because it kind of gives you a quote. And it was like $250 for shipping for this pallet. I'm like, okay, that changes the COG. So then I went in and I did some numbers. I did some checking. And I have to decide if I'm going to be doing a live sale. Is that COG still going to work for me during a live sale for kids' clothes? Depending on the brand of the kids' clothes, right? So always be very mindful of that. Double check, unless it says free shipping in the listing, always double check and click on your shipping costs to see how much the shipping is. Some companies only charge $40 for a big box shipping items. It's maybe like 100 items of kids' clothes because kids' clothes can weigh pretty inexpensively. Some companies, depending on how much your quantity is in that pallet, will charge $200 or $300. I've even seen $500 on like 250, 300 pieces on a kid's pallet, $500 for a shipping cost. That's a lot of shipping on kids' clothes. So if your COG is still like $3 or less, $4 or less, or $5 or less, but you have to include that shipping cost, that's a pretty high COG for kids' clothes. And I've walked away from purchases because I'm not going to make my COG that high for kids' clothes. Unless it's a really nice brand, and those companies don't typically provide really nice brands that I was looking at. Okay, so be mindful of shipping costs on your pallets, incorporating that. Speaking of shipping costs on pallets and boxes, something that dawned on me the other day, now we're talking about this before I move on to the next thing, is when we buy boxes and pallets, we always talk about adding the shipping costs into your COG when you go to list it on a platform. My question is when you guys go and source at thrift stores, do you incorporate your gas costs as a shipping cost in your COG on your pieces? I've never heard of anybody. I know when people do their taxes, they use their taxes as a write-off, but do you incorporate gas costs into your item when you're listing, when you go sourcing it, like the outlet stores or Goodwill? Do you incorporate any sort of gas costs into your, as a shipping cost or as a cost at all in your COG when you go to list those pieces? I'm just curious. Do you do that? I've never done that, but I don't know how easy that would be to do that either, honestly. I'm just curious. That just kind of struck me. I'm curious if anybody does do that. If you do that or if you don't do that, let me know in the comments below. Okay. Higher COG items don't always sell high. And we kind of talked about this when we were talking about the tank tops through Prana. I know a lot of these boxes that have really high COGs are great brands, really great brands. But what I've learned from experience the last few months when I've bought these higher end pieces, you really do have to be mindful. Just because they retail for $250 or $150 doesn't mean they're going to resell for even double or triple your COG. And if your COG is $20 to $30, depending on where you're buying from and what the COG is, because I have been watching some of these unboxings, and some of these unboxings, the COG has been like $27 a piece, $25 a piece, $22, $20. COGs are very, very high on some of these high-end pieces. Even at $27 a piece, not all those pieces are going to sell that high. And if you're trying to at least double your money, and make note, Poshmark for the 20% offer, the 20% fee, the discounted shipping you're going to give. So if you're paying $27, that's $54 just in a COG to double your money, okay? So you need to at least sell that item for what, $80, $90 minimum to double your money, accommodate for your discount offer, accommodate for the fees on Poshmark or eBay, and your shipping discount through Poshmark. Those pieces aren't always going to sell that high. So just be mindful. Again, I know that this is common sense, and some of you are going to say, well, we already know this. But I think a lot of people buy boxes when the COG is that high. And I've actually seen some what sold videos or follow-up videos, 90-day unbox videos, where people found out that that COG was pretty high and they maybe just barely made their money back and they did not double their money on those boxes. So I'm just saying, be mindful of that. If it works for your business model, I'm so thankful for you that it does. But I know for me, I have found that a lot of pieces that come in these really high COG boxes, you do have really nice pieces that come in them. But sometimes those nice pieces are only 1 or 2 pieces out of the box, maybe 3 or 4 pieces out of that box, whether it's a 10 or 20 piece box, 15 piece box. A lot of the majority of that box is going to be lower pieces, and they may not sell that high to make up a double on your COG. So I'm just saying, just be mindful. Make sure you're doubling your money. And if you don't think you can double your money on enough pieces on your for what could possibly come in that box, maybe we shouldn't buy that box. Okay. Decide what your low COG is when you're going sourcing or buying lower end pieces. For example, I typically try to keep my COG around $5 or less on my pieces, depending on where I source from. And I've really, really been good at sticking with that, and it's been working well for me. my higher end pieces. I have decided since buying higher end boxes, if I do buy them, I have a bracket that I just simply don't go above. Stick to whatever works for you in your business model. If $25 on a high cog works for your business model, stick to the $25 or less. If $10 works for you on the lower end pieces, $7, $8. If some of your thrift stores vary in prices, like if you have to pay $8 for a dress at your thrift store, you know that that works for you. I'm fortunate my dresses at my thrift stores only cost $5.25. So wherever I'm sourcing, I try to keep my cog around the $5 or $5.25 or less for dresses for my cog, because I know that that works for me. And if I go to my thrift store, I know what it's going to cost me. So have a set base for what your cog is for your lower end pieces, whether you're sourcing online or sourcing in your store, and then your higher end pieces, and stick to that cog. If the pieces go above that, maybe walk away from those pieces. Maybe they aren't worth it for your business model, for you to be making enough profit for your business that you're working so hard at, for your time and your efforts, right? Watch videos. Now I know that this is common sense, but I'm going to put it out there because some people are new to reselling. Watch videos on unboxings, then research for your own business model. Like I said, a lot of people watch these videos, they go jump on a box and they go buy it. Or they go on and they purchase a pallet or something, and then they turn out later that maybe that didn't work for them as well as they thought. Before you go buy anything, guys, even if you see numbers that it worked for this person, their business model may be different for yours. Always, always, always double check your numbers for your business model before you go buy anything that somebody else said that they bought for their personal business. Okay? I'm just putting it out there. Compare companies against each other, you guys. When you're online sourcing for boxes or pallets, what I like to do is I like to pull up multiple companies when I'm doing research to buy my next batch, so to speak, of inventory. Because you all know I do a lot of online sourcing. I'll literally pull up 2 or 3 or 4 companies. I'll go on and research different boxes that they have available. I'll check the comps. I'll do everything I'm talking about here. Some companies I just click off right away because I'm like, no, okay, that won't work for now. And then I'll go on to the next one. And then I'll go over here. Okay, well, this company might work for now. I'll leave it there, and then I'll go and check out this company. Then I'll kind of compare them. What are the brands? What are the cogs? What are the possible comps? Will these brands sell well now? Will I maybe be sitting on them for more than 3 or 6 months? Is that my business model? Go back over here. See what I'm saying? Compare things. Take the time. And again, I don't always buy things right away, depending on the comp and the piece. Sometimes I leave it in the cart and I sit on it for a few days or a week. And then I go back into that site. Okay, I'm thinking about buying inventory again. What about this piece? Are these still available? Does this still work? Then I go buy it. I don't sporadically buy. I don't go onto websites like I used to, find something, and then I just go buy it right away. I used to. I don't do that anymore. I really take my time to source it. And again, if it goes out of stock, I'm okay with that. I really honestly am. Because I'd rather make a good profit on a piece and wait for it to come back in stock again than to buy something and find out it was just a total bust and a bomb for me and have it be a bad deal and I'm sitting on the stock, right? That's just me. Okay, the 15% flaw rate. I did want to kind of mention this, and I'm not going to hammer on. Everybody knows that no matter what inventory you buy, every company says there's a 15% flaw rate. Now, we all know that sometimes that 15% goes through the roof because it's a bad pallet, a bad box, or whatever. You need to contact the company if that happens to you. I know this is common sense, but for people who are kind of new to reselling, I didn't always do that right away, you guys. I actually heard people talk about it, and I thought, oh, that's a good idea. I should reach out to the company and say, hey, you sent me a bad box, or I got these bad pieces, or so many were flawed. This was junk. What are you going to do about it? What can you do about it, right? So even though it may be common sense, I do think that as resellers, when you're first learning, sometimes you just don't know certain things. Sometimes you don't know you can reach out to the company and they'll reimburse you if you're new to reselling. So there should usually be about a 15% flaw rate. If your 15% flaw rate is higher, I would definitely absolutely reach out to the company. And if you got another box that was bad and then maybe another box that was bad, let that company know. Reach out to them and make them a phone call or send them an email and say, you know what? I let you know that I've received bad boxes. and you have sent me this or this has happened, but it's happened again. I've had it happen 2 or 3 times. I'm to the point now where I'm considering not buying from you anymore, and I'm probably going to notify other people not to buy from this company unless you start changing how you're doing your boxes, because this is not okay. We need to let these companies know that if they're continually sourcing or sending out bad boxes, as resellers, we're not going to continue to support companies that are going to send out bad boxes, okay? You need to let them know how you feel. It's okay to do that, guys. This is your business. And you're buying from them. It's okay to say, I can't buy from this company anymore. Let them know why you're not buying from them anymore. And you have other resellers you're connecting with. They're feeling the same way. And let them know, I'm hesitating buying another box from you because this is what's happened. Can you please let me know what you guys can do about this? Are you making changes? Are you going to revise things? Maybe that's what they need to send out better pieces, better boxes, better items, better pallets, right? We know that a lot of these companies work hard to improve, especially if they're newer companies, and sometimes they do blunder. We're all human. These companies are human too. They do make mistakes. But they're not going to know how we feel about the sourcing items we're getting unless we reach out to them, let them know we're contemplating not buying from them anymore because of the bad stuff that we're getting. They're not going to know that unless you tell them. So I always encourage a phone call or an email or whatever to reach out to them and let them know and say, I've been in touch with other resellers too. They're considering not buying from you too because this isn't okay. Okay. This is another thing that I learned from the gal who I was telling you about at the very beginning when I watched her series on liquidation. And I thought this was so good. I'm kind of stealing it from her, but I've also made note of it too from before I watched her video, since I've been doing so much online sourcing. Make note of possible long shipping time on certain companies. Some companies ship out pretty quickly. Some companies wait for inventory to come in to fulfill the boxes. We all know that some companies can wait 2 or 3 months to send your inventory out to you, and your money is locked up in that order. You need to make sure that you're okay with that. And you need to make sure that your business model, if you are cash-based or if you're credit card-based, has the slush to accommodate buying other pieces while you're waiting for the inventory to come in, and still be able to buy other sourcing from other companies, other boxes, other pallets, so that you can continue to list your items and keep your business going. So be very mindful of how long it might take. Excuse me, sorry. I didn't bring a drink up either. Sorry, guys. I just got a tickle in my throat. I'm talking a lot. Be mindful of how long it could take for something to be shipped to you. And if you bought from a previous company that you know it could take them a little bit, make note of that when you're buying your next box or pallet. Do you have what you want in your business model to accommodate for waiting for this inventory not only to arrive, but to be listed and sold? So I did want to make note of that because your money can be tied up in something and you're waiting to be able to get that box and you can't list what you need to list or source what you need to source because your money's tied up in something, right? Let me know in the comments below if you've had issues with your money being tied up in boxes or sourcing or inventory because it took them so long for you to get your items. And what did you do about it? How did you accommodate for that? Did you just have extra slush in your account? Did you reach out to them and say, hey, why is this taking so long? So I'm just curious how that's worked for you. Okay, let me make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay, this was another one. I think this is the last thing. Pallets versus boxes. Like I said, I know a lot of people buy pallets, especially if they do a lot of lives and they're going through a lot of inventory. Maybe their cost of goods is like $1, $1.50. They're starting their auctions out at like $5 and up on new tags pieces, and they're making good profit on each piece because they're selling 30, 40 pieces in a show or more. They're live every day. They're going through the inventory. And then there's the boxes where you can even get boxes that are like anywhere from 30 to 50 pieces or 80 to 100 pieces, depending on how big the box is, what you're purchasing. So just keep in mind, if you do want to do pallets, you're just definitely going to have a lot more bulk. And build up to them, guys. And it's okay to not buy pallets right away. I've heard a lot of people talking online on YouTube videos and through lives. People are desperate. They see all these great people on Poshmark pulling out these big pallets and making, selling something for $5, $10, doubling and tripling their money, and they're making really, really good money being live every day with these pallets. And I see people in the chat on those lives talking about how they really, really want to buy pallets and do the same thing. But let me encourage you, don't buy the pallets until you're really ready. I've also heard people getting pallets, having a bad pallet, because that does happen. You can get a bad pallet, be in a pallet $2,000 or $3,000, and have a bad pallet, and then you're stuck with it. Okay? Be absolutely sure you're ready for pallets. I'm not ready for pallets yet, and I'm okay with that. I'm just buying boxes that work for me with the amount of inventory that I need. If I need to buy 2 or 3 of those boxes to have more inventory, I'm okay with doing that. I'm okay with doubling up on my boxes when I buy something and having extra inventory versus buying pallets right now. If you're ready for pallets, again, just do your due diligence, know what you're getting into, know how many pieces you're going to be getting, and know how quickly you can sell it. But don't jump the gun on pallets because you see other seasoned sellers going through pallets quickly and doing well with it. Make absolutely sure you're ready for those pallets. Because like I said, I've seen people do it and they did it too quickly, or they bought a pallet, it was a bad pallet. They bought a pallet and they can't get through quick enough. Some people have bought pallets and then things come up with their family and they can't resell the stuff fast enough. Then they got a pallet sitting in the box. All kinds of scenarios have happened that I've heard of. So just make sure when you get your inventory, especially if it's a lot of bulk inventory, make sure that you're mindful of it. And do note, guys, I've even heard some of these boxes that come, if it's a raw box, so to speak, what I mean by that is it's not manifested. If it's not manifested, be mindful when you're buying a pallet or a box that it isn't manifested. You really aren't sure what's coming in that. So you have to be willing to put that money out and not know it's coming. Okay? I would also recommend too that when you're buying a box, have an idea in mind how many pieces you need to sell to cover the cost of that box. What you know your COG is, and how much you think in your business you can turn and sell each piece for, roughly your minimum profit on each piece. So you know ultimately how much you want to make on that box. Have that in mind when you're buying your boxes. Don't just buy a box, say my COG is this amount. Have an idea in mind how much you're hoping to be able to list those pieces for, what your profit on those pieces could be, so you know in general what you might be able to profit on those boxes. And if you buy some boxes and the profit isn't there, find different ways and different boxes. Tweak your business, right? I've been doing that a lot. I've been doing that a lot lately. Okay, I hope this was a help. I know it helped me. Doing a lot of this research for myself and for you guys too. Again, like I said at the beginning, if you have any thoughts, companies that I didn't mention, tips that I didn't mention, I want us to learn from each other, you guys. I don't have all the answers. I will say, I don't have all the answers. I'm still learning. And I love hearing from you guys, what works for you guys. A gal mentioned the other day, something that didn't work for her from a company, a box that she got, that I had bought. And I know now that it didn't sell for her as well. I'm going to see how that box does. She let me know it didn't sell for her very well. So now I'm going to see how that box does for me. And if it doesn't sell well for me, I know it didn't sell well for me, it didn't sell well for her. Maybe I should rethink buying that box in the future. I love learning from y'all. So please do drop your comments, drop any feedback. If this video was a blessing to you, please do give it a thumbs up. And if you like unboxings, if you like videos like this, if you like sourcing videos, we'll be doing my What's Sold video for May here in a couple weeks. Any content like that, you guys, do subscribe. I would really like to get to 500 subscribers, and I've got a lot of people watching my videos and not subscribed. So if you do like my content, and if you haven't hit that subscribe and bell notification, it is free to do so. So please do hit that. I'd love to really, really grow my followers on here. And guys, I will see you in the next video. Take care.